have a story that I want to tell you that illustrates just how powerful this dietary change can be for someone. 32 years ago, I used to work for a man. His name was Bill, and he had had 3 bypass surgeries, and he was on 17 pills a day for the medical problems he had. He had high cholesterol, high blood pressure, all kinds of problems, and some of those pills were even chasing the side effects of the pills he was taking for those problems. I mentioned to him about Weimar Institute in Northern California, and I told him that I thought it would help him. I didn't think much about it, but later on I found out that he contacted them and he got a hold of their program. It was called Homestyle Video Series, and I don't know if they have those available still, but he bought this video series. It taught the same kind of things that I'm teaching you, which is a whole plant food diet, the food eaten whole, unrefined. And he bought the VHS series, and he went on to live another 30 years, healthy years, not sick years, not 30 years lingering in a nursing home, but he actually had 30 healthy years added to his life. And I just love sharing it with people, and one of my favorite things to do is to see people get well. Today's recipe will help with that. One thing I'd like to add is that by going non-GMO, both with animal products, completely giving up animal products and refined foods, make sure that you go non-genetically modified with your diet. That is so important. And as I show you this recipe, I want you to be aware that some people, they are having wheat allergies that are actually indirectly connected to eating genetically modified foods. The connection is not direct. The wheat is not genetically modified. But if you're eating something like maybe genetically modified soy or corn or cottonseed oil in your food or something like that, those GMO foods will cause a problem with the wheat and some other things. You'll get all kinds of gluten sensitivity and all this kind of stuff, and it's actually related to not that food itself, but it's an indirect connection. So as you see this recipe, you might want to maybe use something that doesn't have gluten in it until your body gets used to and heals from eating genetically modified food. But for someone that does not have that problem, this recipe is delicious. It's one of my favorites, and we've eaten it for years. So here it is. Now the first step to this recipe is to put 1/3 cup of cracked wheat in your skillet. This is a completely dry skillet, and I'm going to turn the fire on. And what we're going to do is I want to toast this until it starts making popping noises and starts to brown up a little bit, and that will take a couple of minutes. Now once it starts heating up, you can tell that your skillet is getting hot. You want to turn the fire down so that you don't burn it. And I'm now starting to hear the popping noise. I'm just turn it down a little bit more. You're going to have a little bit of smoke. Now, as you can see, this is starting to brown up. I can hear popping once in a while. That means they are toasting. Okay. Now turn the fire off, and we're going to put this in a bowl and set it aside. The next step is to cook your lentils. This is a half a cup of lentils and 2.5 cups of water. And I'm going to cook these lentils for a little while. And I'm going to add the salt. Now, the recipe calls for a teaspoon of salt. I've reduced that, and the other day I tried it with half of that amount, and it didn't seem to be salty enough. I know some people are going to say that that is way too much salt, but you got to keep in mind, first of all, that your body does need salt, and you can always salt it to taste. So I'm putting in right here, this is about 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. It just didn't seem like there was enough when I put in half the amount. And this is going to cook with a lid on it. Once it starts boiling, you put a lid on it, turn it down, and it's going to cook for 30 minutes. Now the lentils are beginning to boil. I'm going to turn the heat down on them and check on them again in about 25 minutes. Now at this point I'm going to add my other ingredients, which is, this is about 1/4 of a large onion. Going to put that in there, and then add the wheat that we toasted earlier, and I'm going to work those into it. And this will cook for another 15 minutes. If you need to, you can add a little bit more water and cook it a little bit longer. Yeah, this looks good. I think I'll stir it up a little bit more and give it maybe 5 more minutes. Perfect. This will make a delicious lunch with a vegetable and a salad and maybe some bread. Perfect. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.